Everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Look, if you're a professional graphic designer, you already know that time is literally your most valuable asset. Hitting those tight deadlines while keeping your creative output top-notch is basically a constant balancing act. So today, we're zeroing in on a major workflow optimization tool, one that has the potential to drastically reduce your total project turnaround time. We're talking about Canva's magic layers and how it completely transforms the way we deal with flattened assets.
Right, so we all know this dreaded scenario. You've generated this absolutely stunning, highly detailed AI design. You send it off to the client, and they come back with what they think is just a minor revision. Maybe just changing a single word or slightly tweaking a background color. But because your asset is a single flat image, that innocent little request completely derails your workflow. You kind of just have to start all over again. You're reprompting, you're regenerating, and you're really just crossing your fingers hoping the AI doesn't mess up the parts of the image you actually loved. It's incredibly frustrating, and it is a massive drain on your time.
So to solve this exact bottleneck, here is our game plan for today. Number 1, the client revision dilemma. 2, introducing magic layers technology. 3, editing simple poster compositions. 4, mastering complex photographic designs. And finally, number 5, optimizing your design workflow.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the client revision dilemma, and the core problem with flat AI. Historically, standard image manipulation for these AI generations has just been tedious. When an image is completely flat, getting in there to change some text or adjust a very specific element usually means you're doing extensive manual masking, carefully painting things out, or worse, just starting over entirely from the drawing board. It's incredibly inefficient. But with the Magic Layers workflow, we're looking at a complete paradigm shift. Instead of treating that image as a locked raster file, we are talking about one-click layer extraction. This gives you direct, immediate editing control over the elements right inside that composition. Moving on to section 2, introducing Magic Layers technology and how it actually works mechanically.
So what is this tech actually doing under the hood? Well, Magic Layers takes any flat image you upload and automatically pulls it apart. It literally separates the composition into a fully editable file, where your foreground, your background, and your text are suddenly these distinct, isolated layers. It basically takes a flattened asset and rebuilds the entire design for you exactly as if you had meticulously built it from scratch right inside Canva. Just like that, you have full creative control back inside the editor.
All right, section 3, editing simple poster compositions. Let's look at a practical demonstration.
For our first test, we're looking at a pretty simple poster graphic. It's got some text, a couple of cutout images, and a plain background. Nothing too crazy, but a very standard, everyday deliverable. Right from the homepage, you just hit the Magic Layers button, upload the image, and let it process. In just a second or two, the whole thing is pulled apart. If you look at your Layers panel, you can see exactly what we've extracted. Those baked-in cutouts, they are now completely repositionable. Your typography is fully editable text, and that plain background has been cleanly separated onto its own distinct layer.
And this is exactly where you reclaim your creative control. Let's walk through the specific granular steps to modify this poster. Step 1. We can select this egg-shaped chair cutout, which, remember, used to be completely baked into the background, and physically move it so it overlaps the letter O to make it really pop. We can resize it seamlessly so it feels natural with the typeface. Step 2. We grab the secondary typography. Because this is an actual text layer now, we can move it up and literally retype it. Let's change the restoration workshop details to read Wednesdays 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., pick a lighter, bolder font weight, and resize it so it fits the real estate better. Step 3, that plain background was feeling just a little too orange, right? So we just select the background layer, hit the color picker, and swap it out. And finally, step 4, we want our main type to really stand out against that new background, so we just change the text color to a nice pastel yellow.
Now, I absolutely want to emphasize this point. Every single one of these changes would have meant going back to the drawing board before. Just think about the massive time savings here. You didn't have to reprompt the AI and hope for a better variation. You didn't have to manually mask out the chair or use a clone stamp tool to paint over the old text. You literally just grabbed the layers and made the design your own.
Stepping it up now to section 4, mastering complex photographic designs and handling dense files.
The simple poster we just did was pretty clean, right? Text and images with nice, sharp, obvious edges. But as professionals, we are constantly dealing with much denser, messier files. What happens when we throw something far more complicated at this tool? Here, we're testing a heavily textured photographic design. This file has a lot more going on. Multiple elements, advanced textures woven throughout the background, and intricate layered topography. Honestly, it's kind of the ultimate stress test for layer extraction precision.
So we load this complex asset up, hit edit, and let the tool do its thing. And honestly, even with all those overlapping elements, the extraction in step 1 is incredibly clean. The photographic elements beautifully separate into their own layers. So let's break down the technical process here. We need to update the headline for this event. In step 2, we easily jump in and change the word fun to run to clarify the event's purpose. But here's the real magic in step 3, adjusting the z-index. Because the runner is now on a separated photographic layer, we can physically grab our editable text layer and move it backwards in the stack, placing it directly behind the runner. This creates instant, realistic depth. Then in step 4, we can completely rebalance the graphic. We grab the face element, shift it over to the right for better compositional balance, while simultaneously grabbing our location text, moving it, and scaling it up so people actually know where the run is happening.
And this next part brilliantly illustrates how you handle those precise late-stage client revisions. Let's say we realize down at the bottom of this complex design that a blue and black color combination is just too close. It's low contrast, it's hard to read. Without affecting that highly intricate photographic background at all, we simply select the specific typography layer, pop open our text color palette, and use the color picker to quickly adjust and finalize those colors. It's the exact same seamless process we used on the simple poster, just applied to a far more detailed, complex environment. You are still the one calling the shots creatively.
Which brings us to section 5, optimizing your design workflow and the real impact on your daily work. When you zoom out and look at your workflow from a high level, the contrast is honestly stark. The old way meant accepting that an AI image that was almost there was actually just a massive roadblock. It meant a minor copy change required either complete regeneration or hours of tedious, mind-numbing pixel pushing. But the optimized way, powered by magic layers, puts you right back in the creative driver's seat. Whether you're dealing with a straightforward vector-style layout or a dense, messy photographic composition, the process is exactly the same. You bring in your image, run the tool, and suddenly you have a workspace where you can change the copy, shift the colors, and move elements instantly.
I want to leave you with a final thought to consider for your own studio or freelance practice. If you no longer have to dread that late-stage client email asking for a tiny text change on a flattened asset, if flat AI images are no longer a roadblock but instead just a really flexible starting point, how much total project turnaround time could you actually save on your next client brief? The next time you have an image that's almost there, but not quite perfect, pull it into Magic Layers, bypass the drawing board entirely, and see just how fast you can take it to the finish line. Thanks so much for joining me for today's explainer, and I really look forward to seeing how you all optimize your workflows.